Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tezos Townhall. I'm Aaron Mallet, a growth manager here at Trilitech, and today we're deep diving all things Etherlink. Since our last gathering, Etherlink has introduced some exciting upgrades and some new integrations. We're going to unpack these developments, focusing on impact on scalability, DeFi, developer opportunities across the ecosystem. Let's meet our guests. We'll start with a couple quick intros. David, do you want to go first? David, Ryan, do you want to go first?
Yes, good distinction. We have two David R's here today. Hi, everybody. Some of you probably know me, as I've been in this ecosystem for quite a while now. My name is David, obviously. I'm a DeFi growth hacker at Trilitech. I've been working here for about 2 years now on numerous different things. Started off doing community stuff, then more general marketing stuff, very specific to Etherlink, and most recently, as many of you know, Applefarm. And that's what takes up the majority of my time. So that's me.
Cedric, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can. Hi, everyone. Cedric Rush. I'm head of business development at Nomadic Labs. I have been in the crypto space since 2020, and I'm currently driving the adoption of Tezos and Etherlink ecosystem across different verticals, which are DeFi, RWA, gaming, and other strategic partnership.
Very nice. And finally, David Relkin.
And I'm David Relkin. I'm head of DeFi here for Tezos. I spent a lot of time on Etherlink those days because we're building up that new L2. I have a background in financial services, and yes, I manage the DeFi team.
Lovely. Well, I think it's time to kick off. Can one of you guys give us a bit of an overview of Etherlink, its role in the Tezos ecosystem, and sort of like what it does, and how is it good for DeFi?
Well, Etherlink is a layer 2 of the Tezos blockchain, which means that the Etherlink state is synchronized to the Tezos blockchain. But Etherlink, I would say, is fast. So block time is 500 millis. It's fair. There is no EVM, so transactions are included in the layer 2 blocks, first come, first serve. And it's cheap. Gas is like a fraction of a Tez. And I think what makes Etherlink special among the within the TezosX rollup is that Etherlink is EVM compatible, which means that developers from outside the Layer 1 community and also inside the Layer 1 community, if they want, can write their smart contracts in Solidity. So that we hope that this is going to get us new entrants in the Tezos ecosystem because they can port their code and they can use most of the tooling they're familiar with on the EVM ecosystem and bring that to the Tezos family.
Very nice. So in terms of like Etherlink's role in sort of achieving scalability and DeFi ambitions, what sort of sets it apart there?
I can jump in quickly here. I think from my perspective, what I think is what Etherlink's role is in achieving the scalability and DeFi ambitions overall is quite simple. You can look at the overall blockchain space over the last few years, and you can see where things have been happening. And that's mainly in the Ethereum ecosystem and recently on Solana, right? Tezos ecosystem, there's a lot of things happening back in 21, a lot of great things happening, and still a lot of great things happening. But a lot of activity that was happening in these other ecosystems, like the Ethereum one and Solana, that same sort of activity we didn't really see on Etherlink, right? Or in the Tezos ecosystem. So what David was touching on, which is the EVM compatibility and that sort of interoperability with the rest of the space is really crucial. And I think overall to the Tezos ecosystem, having that is really important for the scalability. And I'll let David touch a bit more on the DeFi ambitions. But I think it follows the same point where this interoperability and the familiarity that both developers and users have with wallets, with explorers, etc., are very good for scaling both DeFi and an ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, no, that is a great answer. So a lot of stuff's been happening on Etherlink, particularly this year. I mean, we're 6 months through the year, and I think it's really important to touch on Applefarm. Obviously, Applefarm was announced in February, went live on the 26th of March. It's been live for a couple months now. I guess what's happened on Etherlink since the launch of Applefarm? Who wants to take that one?
I mean, first, there's been quite a few integrations of new protocols, but just in terms of numbers, really, I think we went. So Etherlink was built before March, right? So it was technically ready as a chain, but I think it's only with Applefarm that we could really see like a flow of activity. And that helped us a lot, understand how it behaves. And just in sheer numbers, we have like more than 40 million TVL or 60, it depends how you count it actually. Trading volumes on our dexes are pretty high. Yes, I think we've been operating Applefarm pretty dynamically. I think David Ryan can pretty touch on that. But I mean, the main result is that we've had like a lot more users and a lot more TVL very, very fast.
Yeah, I can quickly jump in on this as well as I guess I've been working on this way too much over the last 6, 7, 8 months. But again, on what David said, I think it's really been a good flywheel and a good exercise for us as well to learn, because I think it's important to say that Applefarm is something that is nothing new to the entire blockchain ecosystem, right? There's incentive programs left and right, and they have been launched in different ways. You have Blur, remember that airdrop, etc. There's been many of these things in the past, but the way Applefarm was done was quite on time, I would say. And I know a lot of people in the Tezos community have always been a bit complaining about this, where things have been done way too late. It's almost out of touch at that point. But one thing I'm proud of with Applefarm is the fact that we were able to launch it at a pretty good time. Like we were in between CK Sync and Unichain, right? We weren't a year later than everybody else to launch incentives in this way. And as David said, like we've seen growth we haven't really seen before. We've seen more DeFi activity than we have in a very, very long time, and it's been really well. It serves as a good flywheel for what we have in this ecosystem, and it's really important to have that, to sort of create that stickiness. And I'm sure Cedric can also speak about some integration stuff, etc., that have probably benefited from Applefarm existing, and so on.
Yeah, thanks, David. Because finally, the Applefarm season 1 was just the beginning of the story related to the expansion of DeFi ecosystem and RWA ecosystem on Etherlink. And this month, June, has been a tremendous month for our new integration partner, because right now we are able to partner with tier 1, tier 2 EVM actors that was not able to integrate Tezos in the past because it was not EVM. And thanks to that, right now, for example, just today, we announced a big partnership with Jumper Exchange and LeFi integration for also. And it's enabled cross-chain access and liquidity with other EVM network, but also non-EVM network. So it will bring easy access to other liquidity in Etherlink. Another also key partnership, it's with Oku. Thanks to our Oku partnership, we were able to deploy Uniswap V3 smart contract on Etherlink. So right now it's live. It's already also on Applefarm. We just launched few incentives on Applefarm with this Uniswap V3 opportunities. And the next step also with Oku, we plan also to add other platform like Morpho backend in July. So thanks to this first step of Applefarm, this season 1, right now we are able to attract more and more and major projects. And I think we will have a really good other opportunities in the next few weeks and in the next few months.
Yeah. I mean, these kind of things are really accelerating actually, because when you really start, like all your partners, users, but also partners, like, okay, Etherlink is a new thing, so they sort of assign a risk to it if you want, and conversations are a bit a bit harder, right? And as we move along, and like people see that there's no blow up, that more people are coming. I think things get easier and then gets exponential really, because you unlock the first door and then it unlocks another door and another door. And like the jumper thing is really great. I mean, we already had gates obviously to Etherlink, right? There was the layer 0 wrapped asset bridge. There's also an access from Gate and Mexi on the SEC side, and of course the layer 1, layer 2 bridge. But like really right now, and it's really happening right now, I think we're really opening bigger doors and bigger windows right now. I mean, Jumper is massive stuff because like Jumper is the easiest way to do a swap, very frankly, right? Also, you can do a swap cross-chain between two tokens, so it's very, very, very convenient. Right? It's pretty sleek as well. So I think these doors are very important. Like we'll get more exchanges as well, of course, right? But I think opening the doors are really opening to us, and we see it. I mean, especially Cedric was like having a lot of these conversations. Like now, things are easier for people because they just recognize Etherlink as something that works. Right?
Yeah. I think I quickly just want to jump in on that as well, because I think both Cedric and you, David, touched on something that's quite interesting. Because when I speak to the community and when we see when we're talking about Applefarm externally, it's a very big focus on users, obviously, because you can think the beneficiaries of something like Applefarm are the people that are using it, that are participating in these opportunities. But there's a sub part to that, which is the actual protocols themselves, and it serves as a flywheel for the business development side as well. So it's not only growing the user side of Etherlink and growing the TVL, etc., but it's also gaining interest from protocols that wouldn't maybe be interested in us before, but now they look at us and take us more seriously because there are better numbers there, and it's interesting for them to come on as well, as it serves a sort of double purpose. And I think that's really important to also remember from a user perspective, because you can look at it from a bunch of different angles, but basically growing this ecosystem overall and getting all of these new apps in this way is proven to be quite efficient.
Yeah, and it really goes both ways. So like these two things feed each other, right? This is user additivity brings new teams from the EVM ecosystem, but these teams from the EVM ecosystem, they come with their franchise. So like it's really like things feed themselves, right? So like you get more users, you get more teams from the EVM ecosystem that have their own franchise. They bring their franchise, most users, and it's in full swing right now. I think it's really accelerating. Right?
And David, just to jump on here, it's just we are right now reaching a level of, we are starting the real network effect thanks to this. Thanks to achieving this level of activity right now. And as you mentioned, we are able to grow our user base, but also our dApps on top of Etherlink, because people are trying right now to integrate it organically. And it's a really good sign of traction.
Yeah. And the thing as well is that when you bring established dApps like on your chain, I mean, I'm not saying it's the final finality actually, but I think it's a very important step to have people from established protocols coming from your chain, because it gives credibility to your chain, okay, and it increases the overall efficiency even of Applefarm actually. So it's a very important step that it's starting now. It started maybe like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I think we've definitely touched on like what makes Applefarm attractive as a whole. Do you think we could go a bit more for people who aren't necessarily aware of Applefarm, sort of an overview of Applefarm's $3 million rewards pool, and also like how people can actually earn apples as well? Sure.
I can give this a quick one. So basically what Applefarm is, it's a DeFi incentive program on Etherlink with $3 million in rewards for season 1. And what this all means is that basically we give out incentives to people that participate in different opportunities. So what are opportunities? Opportunities are different things you do in DeFi across Etherlink. So this can be, for example, on a DEX like IguanaDEX or Oku in this example, you provide liquidity to the liquidity pool to make trading on it more efficient. So we're incentivizing that and benefiting the ecosystem by nature of doing that as well. Another thing is, for example, if let's say you're holding Bitcoin and you're like, oh, I'm holding Bitcoin, I'm enjoying Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's going to go up, so I'm just going to hold it. But if you have Applefarm as well, you can supply it to a lending market like Superlend, and you can earn basically base APY from Superlend from actually just supplying it there, but also the added incentives from Applefarm on top of that to earn added incentives. So we're basically telling people to go, hey, if you have Bitcoin, come and have it on Etherlink instead. Don't have it in your random centralized exchange because not sure keys, not sure wallet, whatever the saying is, or don't go to another protocol and have it on Etherlink instead. So basically, we're getting people to come over and do that. And there's numerous different opportunities. There's not only Bitcoin, there's also holding uranium, for example, which is a bit of a crazy one. And basically, there's lots of things. So what we're doing is basically just incentivizing people to do different actions in DeFi that benefit the overall ecosystem and themselves.
No. About holding your Bitcoin on Etherlink, I mean, if you hold it on Superland, I mean, Superland is an Aave fork, so it's a friendly fork. It's been sanctioned by the Aave DAO, so it's pretty safe. I mean, it's not it's not an experimental stuff, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. I think just jumping into you, David. Actually, David, welcome. So as the head of DeFi, what specific enhancements has Etherlink introduced, would you say, to boost DeFi activities on Tezos?
Gosh. I mean, there are, fair, fast, and cheap, and EVM. I think we covered that point. But as well, we're not completely done on that front, actually. So there's more to come there. But there are things that are important that the user doesn't necessarily see. It's more for developers, right? But the ability to have a node provider, for instance, right? So we have node provider. Just the basic tooling of like having a nice explorer, like we get Blockscan, which I think is nicer than Etherscan, honestly. But anyway, so we have all those toolings. I think on that front there is more to come. Really, we're gonna add some automation. So I don't want to mention name now because like I want to rob the credit from someone else to announce it. But we're gonna bring automation to the chain, so automation tool. Also the ability to debug your smart contract live using the tools I'm talking to developers here, and probably also like more node providers. So these things are important because even though like users can't see it, it makes it much easier for developers to not only bring cross-chain protocols on the chain that they already done, but also prepare for a broader future where there would be protocols that are developed natively on Etherlink. They're not being developed somewhere else. They're like Etherlink specific protocol, and it's very important for us to get ready to greet more developers by giving them the tools they already set up. So that's one of the things we're working on, and it started since February. The other thing, so there are other core things. So I'm not in the core team, so I don't want to steal the limelight from the core team. But they're working on improvements that would make it very, very efficient to stick to every Ethereum upgrade very, very fast. So I can't go into the detail because but they've done infrastructure upgrade and chain upgrade as well. And also there's been the Dionysos upgrade. So that had an important correction to gas price calculations, a bit technical, right? But had some improvements to lay the foundation for future DeFi use. So we've eliminated the gas price spikes that happened like a month or two ago, right? And the sequencer is now compatible with the DAL, actually. So that could give us more throughput. And the FA so we had a pretty slow withdrawal from L2 to L1. So this is changing now. Okay, so we have an intent-based system now to withdraw from L2 to L1 instantly. there will be a small fee, but that's it's massive speed up. Obviously, it really fluidifies the relationship between the L1 and the L2 as far as like speed is concerned, right? Because Etherlink is really part of the Tezos blockchain, right? It's not something separate. It's I think the ethos of Etherlink is to be like a gateway to other blockchains, really, but it is part of the Tezos ecosystem. And the goal is to bring developers to the Tezos ecosystem via Etherlink. Because once they come, when TezX goes full speed, there will be tremendous things to do in the Tezos that can't be done on any other blockchain, frankly, like including Ethereum. And that's I think that's the Tezos roadmap. So we're starting with Etherlink as the first, sort of a virtual machine there, but we're going to add more. And I think that these developers that come to the Tezos ecosystem on Etherlink they come for the EVM, but they will stay for Tezos X actually. So yeah, I would say like from the tech side, this is how I think we've done. And again, the core team gets the most the kudos. Like I don't get the credit for this, right?
I just want to jump in here and talk about another thing that I think how Etherlink boosts sort of DeFi on Tezos, because when that question is asked, a lot of people in the audience are probably thinking about Tezos as they know it, and a lot of people have probably used Tezos for years here, and they're thinking about using the L1. And I want some people to maybe think back to using the L1 and how that was, and maybe if think back with the protocols that were there, etc., and not having some of the bigger protocols that were on other chains. So, for example, DeFi on Tezos L1 was quite different from DeFi in the rest of the Ethereum EVM ecosystem, even a few years ago. Basically, all the DeFi was happening on other places. They're still on Tezos, obviously. That's not what I'm mentioning here. But if you wanted to be where everybody else was, you would essentially have to leave the Tezos ecosystem to do what everybody else was doing. Obviously, that's not something we want. So Etherlink sort of opens up a door for us to get these protocols and get these things on that people are already using onto Etherlink directly, so that there's no reason to even leave the Etherlink ecosystem or Tezos ecosystem, in the first place. You can stay and get all you want here. But it also serves the opposite purpose, which is bringing people into Etherlink, opening in the door to the Tezos ecosystem, which is also really, really important.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is what we've seen with also like with our three main protocol. But like really, I'm particularly thinking about Hanji and Superland as well, and Uranium as well. Actually, I mean, the developers are from the L1 community, okay, from NG and Superland, right? And like Hanji is quite an incredible feat of engineering. It's a fully on-chain club, like including the matching order, so it's a very advanced thing, really, right? And that would have been very difficult to do on the layer one just because of block time, right, and throughput. And so we could retain talents like that, developing like really cutting edge decks, right? And we could retain them to the Tezos ecosystem because we have Etherlink, right? That's the reason. So I think this is a very important thing.
Thank you. I think it's important to sort of look ahead and see sort of what's next for the Etherlink roadmap. What can the community expect in terms of features and strategic initiatives? Obviously, I know there's a lot in the pipeline. Some of the stuff we can say, some of it can't. I will jump in if I know that you can't say it. But Cedric, sort of what other sort of ongoing stuff around RWAs that you want to share with everyone?
So yeah, since the end of 2024, we observe in general in crypto space, DeFi space, that there is a big narrative that is going on, which are RWA, because we observe an institutionalization of our market, thanks to the technology, the maturity of the technology in general, and also thanks to the regulatory framework associated to crypto and blockchain industry. And so for us, it's a really big opportunity because as right now, thanks to Etherlink, we are EVM compatible. We are really focusing on RWA because in terms of liquidity, in terms of potentially having traditional financial asset on chain, it's a really, really big deal for us. And we already start the job on this side, because right now on Etherlink, we have few opportunities, few services deployed, like Uranium, which is tokenized Uranium on-chain, Uranium.io. It was also incentivized during Applefarm Season 1. We have also Spyco. Spyco is a money market fund tokenized on Tezos to be exposed to treasury bills, US treasury bills, and also Euro one, which is quite also an alternative, an interesting alternative, because most of the actual tokenized treasury bills are only focusing on US money market fund for the moment. So Spyco, it's a good alternative to have both. And also we partner with Midas RWA to also have exposure with yield bearing stablecoin on money market fund, but on also other DeFi strategy. But it's just the beginning. And right now also we observe that there are more and more projects related to RWA. Like, we are also interested by focusing our efforts on tokenized stock, because tokenized stock, it's a huge opportunity for 2025 for our ecosystem. And in general, just there are few TradFi services that are not on-chain today for different reasons, but we are also trying to onboard them and digging with our DeFi team to observe if it's relevant. For example, we have several finance services which are like reinsurance. We are not really liquid today, but it could be a good benefit to onboard them on-chain. And yeah, in general, it could also help us to accelerate our adoption level in the DeFi ecosystem, because RWA is just a part of the DeFi ecosystem. But thanks to DeFi primitive, we are able to bring more liquidity, more accessibility to these traditional financial assets. So yeah, we will onboard more and more projects on this area in the next few months right now, but we already start the job.
Very interesting. David Relkin, is there anything that you want to add from a DeFi perspective? Oh, you're on mute, I think.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think thanks Cedric for the RWA, all the RWA efforts you're making. I think it's a strategic direction that is very promising, of course, right? And the entire world is jumping on chain right now, and I mean, of course, Tezos can play a part in that. I mean, Tezos has been at some point like a big chain for NFTs and art, which is like sort of the premise of the RWA movement. So it's very natural that that Tezos is like a place where the word, I think, real what matters a lot, right? Because Tezos, I mean, at least to me, right, Tezos is like real governance. Really, that's the big thing, right? The governance in Tezos is like real. It's actually decentralized, right? And that's not the case for every chain, even some chains that are like much bigger than us. Right? So I think that's quite important to highlight the RWAX, the RWA narrative. Yes. Also, I think actually there's probably something I want to add. Actually, I think Etherlink is also going to contribute in effectively distributing the Tezos token, because we get a lot of users from the outside, right? Okay, they need the Tezos token for gas. They don't need a lot of Tezos token for gas, because again, gas is like almost free, right? But there will be very soon tremendous opportunities in yield and trading, holding the Tezos token very soon. Okay, so there's like a new protocol. I think I can say that, right? No, not yet, maybe. But like in a few days, in a week, you will discover that basically you will have very, very, very good things to do holding the Tezos token on Etherlink, like very high yield, basically, contributing also to improving our staking ratio for the chain as a whole. So like Etherlink is a place where holding Tez will be very attractive for people who don't have Tez today. And I think that putting Tez in as many hands as possible, I think, is very important, because more people having Tez contributes to the strength of our ecosystem, the centralization as well, right? And the value of the token, just as simply, right? The token as the token holders, right? So I think that's something to point out, right? Because it's true that for the past few months, I don't think the opportunities the opportunities on Etherlink. So Tez had a bit of a special place, especially on Iguanadex in the pool. So Tez had a special place, but I think it's that place. So Etherlink is going to grow, and the place of Tez on Etherlink is going to grow as well. So I think that's really a space to watch for just the value of the Tez token, just that.
Very nice. And I think, David, is there anything that you want to speak about Applefarm and the future of that?
Yeah, I do. I think I'll start off by saying that what both David, the other David, not me, and Cedric have been speaking about the future, all sort of corresponds to the future of DeFi growth, but also to Applefarm stuff, right? So, for example, Cedric mentioned Spyco with Euro markets, right? And I know a lot of people were in the community were asking about that, specifically during the early March area when the entire world market was a bit volatile. People were like, I don't know if I want USD anymore. I want Euro. So it's great that that's finally coming, right? But for Applefarm, the future it's quite interesting. Where I can't say too much, but I guess one thing you can take away is that there's a lot of new integrations, which means that there will be a lot of new things to do, right? And we want people to do these things. So I'll be that vague. I know, David, you unmuted your mic. You might want to add something to that.
Yeah, we really want people to do these things, and they should stay, because good surprises happen very easily here.
And I think, well, there's one thing that all of you guys forgot to mention, which is one of the biggest things happening in the next couple of weeks, which is TezDev. So this year, TezDev is called Catalyst. Tezos 2025 Catalyst. It's in 6 days. And there's an amazing agenda for everyone who is going to be lucky to be in Cannes. So we've obviously got the Etherlink Hackathon. So it's the Code of Summer of Code with Encode Club. We also have a couple of great talks. So we've got Scaling Etherlink Without Compromise, which is going to be done by Townhall. I think some of you guys on the call right now are actually going to be doing a panel as well. We also have some stuff on RWA tokenization, and also a lovely fireside chat with Arthur Brightman, co-founder of Tezos as well. So yeah, if you haven't, there's also a massive gaming surprise. So even if you're not going to be at TezDev, be sure to check out the socials on Tezos on Twitter and all the other sort of social channels alongside Etherlink as well. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that everyone's going to be really excited for, and we all can't wait to share it with you. I guess, is there any sort of final things that anyone wants to sort of bring up? Just before we say sort of last words and remarks.
Maybe two quick elements on my side. The first one will be related to TezDev next week, because also as a part of TezDev, we will have a really happy ending thanks to the TezDev after party, and this TezDev after party will be co-hosted with Jumper Exchange and Midas, so it will be a really good opportunity and side event. It will take place in the Martinez, so happy to join some of the committee members here. And to go back on Etherlink adoption strategy, I think one also of the core element of this next semester will be also what we call ecosystem partnership strategy. So we were really focusing on dApps adoption, on user adoption, DeFi liquidity, but right now also if we would like to scale, we have to rely also on ecosystem partner strategy, which are projects who are not directly linked with on-chain activity, but for example, centralized exchange, wallet, custodian, and an off-ramp will provide us a distribution channel for onboarding and unlocking the next phase of adoption and user. So we will manage this new strategy around ecosystem partner strategy, because if we would like to build, to activate, and to scale our Etherlink ecosystem, it's really important to focus on this strategic pillar, because centralized exchange, for example, will definitely increase the liquidity and also user to do interaction on chain, and wallet also will bring us new users. So we are also trying to onboard other wallets from other ecosystems to be integrated on Etherlink, and in general for our RWA and institutional adoption, bit relation with custodian will help us to distribute also our RWA product on top of Etherlink in general. So it will be a really important part on the scale of Etherlink in the next 6 months, during the next 6 months.
Yeah, definitely sounds exciting. David, Ryan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to sort of double down on the test of stuff that both you yourself and Cedric said, that if everybody in the audience is not too tired of me, Cedric, and David number 2, we are doing a talk about basically the same thing in exactly a week from now. So if you're in Cannes in person, you can listen to us again. And if you do, thank you for coming and listening to us. But also show up and meet us and come speak to us. Because if you see me in person, I definitely want to meet as many of you as possible. Because it's going to be a great event. It's going to be really cool. And I want to meet as many people as possible as well. I don't have anything more to say, so I'll just say thank you guys for listening to us. And also, if there's any questions around Applefarm, Etherlink, etc., always reach out to me on Twitter. I am online way too much, quite bad recently, but I'm online a lot. And I love speaking to all of you. So that's it for me.
And David Rauken, anything from you?
I keep it short, I think. Buy Tez, put it on Etherlink, and get ready to jump on opportunities in there in the coming days. Not necessarily many days. So.
Amazing. Well, thank you to Cedric, David Ryan, and David Rauken for sharing your valuable insights. Again, shameless plug, but remember, TezDev 2025 is taking place on the 3rd of July in Cannes. We'd love to see you there. Go get a free ticket, and you can head to Tezos social media where you can find the link to the post. And once again, thank you everyone for joining today's town hall. As we've heard, Etherlink continues to push boundaries, bringing powerful innovations to Tezos. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and keep building with Etherlink. See you next time.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.